Hi guys, welcome to Bible Breakdown. We're doing 2 Samuel chapter 24. The last chapter in the book. Round of applause, please. We made it. We made it, guys. Okay, so it starts out with the Lord. It says that he had some anger built up against Israel, so he told David to go count all the people of Israel and Judah. So David goes to Joab and he instructs him to go to all the tribes in Israel. It says from Dan to Beersheba, and he said to register the troops so that he can know the number. So Joab mentions how he wants the troops to multiply 100 times, but then he also asks David why he has him doing this. And David kind of doesn't give him a direct answer. It kind of just jumps into how David instructed him and his instructions prevailed. So Joab and the troops went to go count all these men. So they cross the Jordan and they're camping in this place south of their town. And their journey starts out with them being in Gad. Then they go to Jazer. They go to Gilead. They go to the land of the Hittites. And then they end up being in Beersheba. Joab and these men have been gone for 9 months and 20 days. And they counted everybody. The number that they came back with was 800,000 men of Israel and 500,000 men of Judah. After the troops came back, David's conscience was just eating him up alive. He felt so bad and he confessed to the Lord that he sinned. He says in verse 10, he said to the Lord, I have sinned greatly in what I've done. Now, Lord, because I've been very foolish, please take away your servant's guilt. So now the Lord has something to tell David, and he uses the prophet Gad to get through to him. And basically the Lord is telling him he has 3 options to choose from as his punishment. So the 3 options that the Lord gave David is in verse 13, and it says, do you want 3 years of famine to come on your land? 2, to flee from your foes 3 months while they pursue you? Or 3, to have a plague in your land 3 days? So David's trying to weigh the options and see which one is the best fit to basically stay in the hands of the Lord and not the hands of mankind. So the Lord decided to send a plague as David's punishment, and there ended up being 70,000 men that died. And then in verse 16, it talks about this angel, and it extends their hand because they were ready to destroy the city. So the Lord tells the angel to stop, and it says that they were at the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. So David sees the angel going after all these people, and David goes to the Lord and he's like, Lord, I'm the one that you want. Basically, leave the innocent people alone and come after me and my family. Gad has another message for David, and basically he tells him in verse 18, he says, go up and set up an altar to the Lord on the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. Now, David is being obedient to what the Lord told him to do, and Araunah sees David and his servants, so he bows down to him. Araunah asks David why he's there and what his purpose is, and David basically tells him that he needs to build an altar on the threshing floor so that the plague would stop. He says so that the plague on the people may be halted. So Araunah is on board and he is willing to give David everything that he needs free of charge. He tells him in verse 23, Your Majesty, Araunah gives everything here to the king. Then he said to the king, May the Lord your God accept you. Now in the last 2 verses, David basically is pleading with Araunah, telling him that he wants to buy these things because it's for the Lord and that he doesn't want it for free. So Araunah lets him buy it, and the final total for everything was about 20 shekels of silver. David made the altar, he gave the burnt offerings and the fellowship offerings, and then it says, Then the Lord was receptive to prayer for the land, and the plague on Israel ended. And guys, that is the end of 2 Samuel. Now, it does continue into 1 Kings, 2 Kings, and all that, but we will be moving on. So that's all I have for y'all. I love y'all. God loves y'all more. Have a great night. I will see you on Monday.